Welcome to our December meeting of the Tobacco Settlement Agreement Fund Oversight Committee. Like to begin, Representative King, hate to surprise you, but would you mind leading us in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Yes.
Please join me in a moment of prayer. Dear God, we stop for just a moment before you as we start today's business. Just thanking you for the opportunity and the ability to be here today. We ask that you be with us as we make decisions and go over the decisions that are made on behalf of all of our constituents. Thank you for Jesus being the reason for this season, and help us to always keep pleasing you and serving Jesus in mind as we make decisions. In his name, amen.
Amen. Ask everyone please stand, and Representative King will lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Boswell. Here. Senator Deneen. Here. Senator Harper Angel. Here. Senator Webb. Here. Representative Brown. Representative King.
Present.
Representative Pratt. Representative Reed.
Here.
Representative Rorks. Senator Mays Bledsoe, co-chair. Representative Dossett, chairman.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to approval of our October 12th, 2023 minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. None opposed. Minutes are passed. Now we'll move on to our presentation. And I'm sorry to say we had a special guest that was going to be here today. And Wayne Hunt, who serves on our Ag Development Board and the Ag Finance Corporation, was unable to make it. He is under the weather at home, and we will have him here as we get into the interim in 2024. But right now, will begin by having my good friend Brian Lacefield and Bill McCloskey please come to the desk and introduce yourselves and let you do your presentation.
Well, Chairman, committee, floor leader that was with us, it's great to be with you, and appreciate that clarification of the schedule. It has been a challenge the last 3 years rolling in trying to fill Warren Beeler's shoes. Now I've got the task of trying to make up for Wayne not being here as well, Chairman. That may have been a bit of a challenge. And in preparation of that, Bill and I had tried to work on making sure we were briefed to roll through and allow plenty of time. And I'm glad you're planning on having him back on the program. I know you were in for a treat. When Mr. Hunt is working on PowerPoint, you know you're going to be getting an education. So he does have his slides. He will travel, and as soon as he's well, I know he would love to get back in front of this group. I did check in with him this morning. He is feeling much better. Just still hasn't tested negative to be able to travel and come see us. But he did want me to extend his apologies to each of you that he could not make it. He truly was looking forward to this. We've been talking about it for several months, and wanted to continue to express his gratitude for what the legislator has continued to allow the Ag Development Board to do with the devotion of these funds to agriculture. So thank you on behalf of Wayne. First thing I want to talk about, you all have fairly hot off the press is our annual report. And I'm always proud to showcase this annual publication that we were able to put together that showcases all of the different programs that are reoccurring and some of our highlighted projects that have been funded throughout the year. And you can see we strive to make it easily consumable, that we kind of have things in a lot of pictures, concise writing, and a good snapshot of what we do. A couple last year, if you remember, we had the Easter egg picture in there where the one poultry producer down in Christian County was in the 22 copy of the annual report, holding the 21 copy of the annual report that Bill McCloskey had just stuck in his hand right before we made him pose for the picture. This year, the Easter egg would be Cattleman's very own Nikki Whitaker is behind me in the picture there that was caught. And what I thought I was prepared to tell you was going to be at one of our oversight committee hearings, but we had some good photo detectives that figured out this was actually at the Farm Machinery Show, where our meeting will be in February. But we do talk about our oversight committee in here, as well as our board members, and we have Dean Nancy Cox, one of our board members, in attendance here today. So hope you enjoy this, and we will be passing these out along the way. Big thanks to Jesslyn Watson on our team. She is our communications director. She's joining us today. The interns, this is the main project we have our interns working on through the summer. And we had Benjamin Williams and Braden Porter were our two interns this summer. We brought them to a couple of oversight meetings, and they worked hard on this, as well as the communications team at the Department of Agriculture. So a lift from a collective team that put together a good product. It has been a couple of months since we were here last, and Senator Deneen, when he came in, commented on my glasses, and yep, I'm still wearing them. So I did ask my eye doctor Tuesday. I said, what percentage of the cataract surgeries do you do that are the procedure I did? He said, oh, very few. I said, well, it must be, because I have met nobody that has had to wear these glasses as long as I've had to. But the good news is I'm back now to where I can see the distance like I was 18 and still read my phone, Chairman Dossett, like I could before I blew out the candles on my 40th birthday cake. So I think it's been a plus, but it has been a couple of month process on what we're doing. We did have our October Ag Finance and Ag Development meetings that were completed. Then we had our joint meeting down in Hopkinsville in November. Since then, I've had a few different outreach speaking engagements, and some really good chance for outreach to groups we're not always in front of, one of which was the Kentucky Black Farmers Association, and that was a great invitation. I was thankful to have and be able to get in front of and present our programs. Following that was down at the Breathitt Diagnostic Center for their advisory council. From my position, I'm on that advisory council, and it's good to see the continued good work of that center, of what they do in Hopkinsville. I've been involved with the Ag Business Association of Kentucky since back in my retail days in the private sector, and always have enjoyed attending their meetings. Todd Griffin, the executive director of Kentucky Retail Federation, does a fantastic job, always putting together a great summit every year. And the November one does focus a little bit more on ag policy and the work that's going to be going on as you all are heading into session starting next month. And I will never forget my first time I attended attended that meeting probably 15 years ago. I was a new employee chairman at Agrichem and Hopkinsville Elevator, and was sent to attend this meeting. And two of the featured speakers were my father and Wayne Hunt. And so I was in the audience getting to hear two of my mentors speak. This time it was special. I was the keynote speaker and was able to speak, and we had Wayne sitting on the front row. While Dad wasn't at that meeting, the following, Saturday, I was invited to be the keynote speaker for Western Ag Department's Ag Alumni Brunch, and my father was sitting on the front row there and was able to speak, but also sitting with Dad was former Commissioner Billy Ray Smith, and that to me was a very special opportunity to be able to thank the Ag Commissioner that was working there at the time of House Bill 611 and worked tirelessly to see that 50% of these funds did go to agriculture. So it truly was a circle coming around, and we also had one of our board members, Al Pedigo, in the audience as well. So two great events there. And then I got to join our very own Senator Webb in Greenup County. I had been invited to come and speak to 9 different high schools, FFA leadership from 9 different high schools in eastern Kentucky. There's 250 students, and they asked me to keynote this. And I asked the promoter, have these students done something wrong? They said, no, why? I said, well, I can think of no reason you should subject these students to 45 minutes of me talking. I said, I'll try to be funny, but I don't know that I can do it. So I thought about what would really be an impactful presentation. And so they ended up giving us an hour and put together a panel of leaders from these communities in eastern Kentucky that were doing things on a statewide or national scale. And it was fantastic. I've shared with you all about traveling international with students and attending these. This was yet again another example of where I get excited about our future and what we're going to see. We had Senator Webb, again, and we know the work she's done. We had one of my former district directors with the Farm Service Agency that serves on a national leadership position within the USDA. We had Jason Isaac is his name. Then we had Tyler Ferguson, who's on Kentucky Farm Bureau State Board. And then we had Kenny Imel, who you all have heard me talk about. Has always been the host farm of our biggest farm to table event we have there in Greenup County. And he served on the FSA State Committee with me under the previous administration. And we had 250 students that were engaged. Very rarely do I speak in front of an audience that I don't have at least half the people on their phone. And I'll call myself out. Somebody else talking, I'm probably doing that too. But in this case, Senator Webb, I think you could nod your head there. That it was complete engagement, and they were seeing that each one of these folks could be in these type of positions with just being willing to put in the work. So, Senator Webb, thank you for doing that. The feedback I have gotten has been tremendous from folks that were there and folks that have even heard about it. We've gotten some requests to do this other places, so we may be taking our show on the road for doing that.
It was a little chilly, I must say, too, and those kids were very engaged, and we have the best questions.
Well, thank you for donating your time and your expertise to that group. And if that geography was a challenge, we were there in Greenup County. The following day, I was down in Hopkinsville getting ready for our joint meeting, and then Senator Webb joined us the following day. We had a series of tours in Trigg and Christian County, all showcasing either different ag finance or ag development projects, all focused on markets and value-added products. And we had Senator Webb join us that evening at Casey Jones Distillery and talked to the board members and staff and invited guests that were there, giving us some history and some vision for looking forward with these ag development funds. And so thank you for making that trip across the state and sharing with our group. Then it was time for the Kentucky Farm Bureau's annual meeting. We were back to well above pre-pandemic levels of attendance. Over 2,300 folks from across the state were good. I love that event every year. While it's always great programming, but it's always a great chance to catch folks. You can stand still and literally see folks from across the state. I had a producer from Ballard County that wanted to get a picture, and we grabbed somebody, and I think they were from Greenup County, Sutter Webb, to take the picture. I thought, well, that sums it up pretty good. We got Kentucky represented literally across the state. Bill and I had a chance to visit every year. Dr. Snell invites us to be guest lecturers for his ag econ class, and we were able to do that. And we had our intern Benjamin Williams was in that class. I had one last speaking engagement for the year down in Hopkinsville on Monday for the Kentucky Ag Development Advocacy Council, their town hall meeting, which was a meeting with so many different partnering agencies across the state, getting producers in one area to hear what so many of our different ag organizations do to work for our producers. So that. Little quick recap of what's been going on. We are in the middle of a transition now as Commissioner Quarles is winding down his term, and the Commissioner-elect Shell is working on bringing in his team. We have had two folks have resigned from our office and have continued on with other positions within state government. So we're happy for those, and we'll be working to backfill those positions. And the commissioner did add 2 positions before he left that are going to allow us to kind of grow with the programming that we've been able to put on in the last few years. All right, anything to add on that, Bill? All right, we'll roll into your packets if you all are good. We start off with our Ag Finance board meeting schedule. This will be coming up for the 2024 year, the remainder, which there is no more Ag Finance meetings. We had the last one last Friday. We'll have our last Ag Development Board meeting this coming Friday, and here's our list for the following year in 24. Our Ag Finance program continues to exceed historical demand for our participation loans. We had in October we approved 23 loans, 7 under our Ag Infrastructure Program and 16 beginning farm programs. We participated with 2 of our Ag credits and several of these in 6 different community banks. Was $3.6 million approved and participating loans. And while we will go up to 50% on loans not exceeding a $250,000 limit, majority of these projects included a larger amount. We were a smaller percentage. It was a total of $16.2 million in capital investments across the state for the total projects approved. So a great example that $3.6 million invested leveraged to $16 million in total investments. And then the press release following that is behind the table in your board packet, and then you have the schedule for the upcoming 24 Ag Development Board meetings. And then I'll let Bill start with some of the projects that were approved at the October board.
Okay, we'll start on page 8. This is an update on 9 projects or applications that were approved under the On-Farm Energy Incentives program. We do take applications 3 times a year, so to be eligible in this program, they have to have an evaluation of their proposal by a professional engineer or certified energy manager, and it has to meet it can be purchase of equipment or technology is going to result in energy savings. Like to see the energy savings payback be less than 25 years to be eligible. So you can see the different operations that have been approved. Any questions on the energy program? I'll move over to page 14 on programs recommended for approval. So you can see that the request for programming does decline throughout the year, and then it'll pick up when we get the new master settlement agreement payment in April of 2024. So 3 CAPE applications approved. And as mentioned earlier in presentations, that the county money, about 80 to 85% of the county money gets allocated to the CAPE program. And in our annual report on page 4, it has a breakdown of how the money's allocated. And you can see in this box here, the county allocation for this year was $16,205,661. So then about 85% of that will be invested in the CAPE program that has 11 different investment areas. Moving on, there was one application for dead animal removal in Hardin County, Senator Deneen, and then the youth program, one project in Madison County for $50,000. So it brings the total programming approvals to for the October meeting, $439,935. And then moving on to page 15, we've got an amendment by the Harrison County Beef Cattle Association for their youth program. Originally, it was approved for $5,250, so we're requesting an additional $1,900 to bring it to a total of $7,150. And then under the CAPE program, the Dare County Cattle Association requesting an additional $7,500 to add to their $206,000 previously approved, bring a total of $213,500. Now, for the programs like the CAPE and the youth program, once they receive the funds, they have 1 year to disperse the funds, close out the report, and then send us a closeout report that we review under our compliance section of the office. Now, in the event that they have a waiting list, they can come and request additional funds and amend during that 1 year period. And that's what's happened here with the youth program and the CAPE program. They had a waiting list of producers that they wanted to fund, so they can amend it and request additional funds as long as they stay in that 1 year window. All right, now ready to move into projects. Brian, I think, is going to on page 16.
Well, I'm flipping that. One of the things on doing these amended programs, I think it's always good that these counties keep a little of their money available. I talked to them. You never know what request is going to walk through the door with an application, and you hate to have funded everything day one and then not know that. So it's a little more paperwork on both parties, but I think it allows these county councils to have the flexibility of funding projects as they come in. All right, our first project that was funded individual here was to Cornet Enterprises. And one of the programs that we launched in 2023 was our Food Safety and Efficiency Program. We have made a significant investment in our meat processors across the state, over 40 investments with over $7 million to expand capacity, and other investments in other of our processors. And one of the things we want to make sure that they're sustainable. Obviously, the big emphasis first on consumer safety and making sure we are taking care of that, but also the first step of sustainability is remaining in the black and staying in business. So we launched a program to help any producer that wanted to apply for this, that had some type of processing facility, if they wanted to bring in an external consultant to help them, largely thinking of food safety. You have some type of issue and you need help correcting it, we can pay up to 75% of this consultant's cost, up to a total of $5,000. But also, if we want to bring somebody in to help your business be more efficient, would also qualify. To do so, the consultant must be approved by this Food Safety and Efficiency Committee, so we're looking for credentials and experience, but then we allow that flexibility to be able to go out and find who's going to be able to help your business. The Cornets were a great project we did earlier in the year, where they were funded a forgivable loan where they were creating a distribution point for produce, and they earned their debt forgiveness by how many other producers or boxes of produce they're putting through there that are outside of their family's operation. So it's allowed them to help their own operation, but the way to be able to utilize these funds is to be expanding and bringing in more and more processors. One of the challenges with our produce is you may produce a pickup truck load, but that retailer is wanting a semi-truck load. So we're putting together these gathering points where they can put together orders from multiple producers and ship them out as these retailers want those. So they were awarded one of our projects for that for $3,750 in state funds, $2,950 in their investment.
All right, the next projects on page 17 or application is a Gatekeeper Cattle Company. This individual is working on a $32,500 project to expand his direct-to-consumer marketing program. And you can see a cargo trailer, freezer with a freezer storage, and a generator are all part of the request. Now, when the Ag Development Board, Dean Cox and her fellow board members look at a project that's requesting state money. In this case, they're asking 25% county money, 25% state, and then provide matching dollars. The investment philosophy of the board is to look at a project. What's the producer impact to be eligible for state money, to kind of raise the standard. Although in this case, they supported the county money, but not the state money because of limited producer impact, just basically one producer, although he did indicate as he grows the business, he may impact other producers by, I guess, reselling their product, which he would be probably in expansion mode, would be eligible to come back. Typically, these projects would apply under the CAPE program, but you're going to be limited up to $5,000. So it does give an option to apply for the county money over and above the CAPE program on bigger projects like this one. So he was approved. The board did approve the county money only for $8,000.
Right on page 18, you all have heard me report earlier this year on another new program that we did in 23 was for our large and food animal veterinarians. We created a new program. While we've always had, since the existence of the Ag Finance program, we've had a loan program to assist in either purchasing equipment, buying into an existing operation for our veterinarians. We've also learned that the majority of the average of our veterinarians coming out of Auburn or Tuskegee with our reciprocal agreement, still $250,000 in student loan debt. That's not their investment. That's what they still owe when they are finished with their education. So sometimes to these newer vets, or even some that have been practicing 10 years, the last thing they need is more debt. And so created a grant program that leveraged state funds significantly. It's one of the first ones we've done where you're getting a 5-to-1 match on county funds invested. And the reason on that is we want these counties to be the first gatekeeper to know. We don't have a set percentage of an operation, their book of business, that has to go towards this larger food animal. We want to make sure that they're offering this service to the producers in this area, not necessarily telling them how they need to run their business, because obviously, back to my comments earlier, we want you to be efficient, we want you to be profitable, so you're sustainable. But we feel like if they're being checked by the county council, these 9 members of the local county and the community they know. And the other deviation on this one is we've allowed for motorized vehicles. This has been something the Ag Development has stayed away from up until this program, but we have learned through these focus groups that a lot of our large animal veterinarians, their office is their truck, their mobile vet kit, and you can tie this back to another part of our investment of these ag development dollars is the improvement of livestock handling facilities across the state. In the last 20 years, I think all these veterinarians will tell you, we have seen a dramatic shift of having better equipment on farm to where we can work with the livestock. So we've allowed for the same inclusions of that loan program, but also have let the purchase of these vehicles come in here. And Creek Veterinary Service here in Allen County was recipient of one of these programs. Was a total award of $122,000 that broke down in $50,455 of state funds, $10,000 and $90 in Allen County funds, and $20,000 coming from the veterinarian, Dr. Creek. And this program, just to give you the breakdown on what we've done, and this one again has come from focus groups in 22. Program Evaluation Committee in late 22, board approval in 22, implementation January 1. We have now done nine of these programs across the state, West Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, and Eastern Kentucky, and we have one more currently pending that'll be coming soon before the board. Page 19 is a second one. This one came from Bracken County. This one was a breakdown on a vehicle, the truck vault for the bed, and then also construction on an office area. This Raymer Veterinary Service had a daytime practice that was small animal, companion animal, and moonlighted nights, weekends with their own private business that was specifically for our large and food animals. So I think another good example of this program supporting the vets that are trying to balance what's best economical and then still provide the services to our farmers.
Moving on to page 20, Kentucky State University was approved for $1,359,000 to support their small-scale grant program, and we've talked in the past about how the state, when you look at it regionally, has different needs. When you look at Western Kentucky, you'll notice they utilize where you got bigger scale, larger scale ag production. You'll see them those type of operations and utilizing the Ag Finance Corporation. When you get to Central Kentucky, a lot of full individuals that are working full time and then looking to purchase a farm next to maybe the family farm and utilizing family assets, labor, and equipment. Eastern Kentucky, which is the Appalachian region, which includes 55 or 54 counties, we know that's small scale. And the Ag Development Board, one of the approaches to addressing small scale limited resource producers is the Kentucky State University small scale grant program. And I can list some other programs, organizations we've funded to help, again, specifically small scale limited resources. Grow Appalachia is one organization. K-Card helps with the technical business planning. The Hort Council, the Organic Association of Kentucky, the Community Farm Alliance, Kentucky Highlands Investment Corporation that offers a 7,500 micro loan at 1%. As far as providing the CAPE programs also can be accessed. But we've also invested in infrastructure. Farmers markets as a way to grow produce, vegetables and small fruits at the farm level and sell at the farmers market. And of course, Kentucky Proud is the statewide branded marketing program to help as well. So just some examples when we talk about Kentucky State University, how it fits in and collaborates with these other organizations, again, targeted to small scale limited resource farmers. Next, we'll move on to page 21. I mentioned K-Card, Kentucky Center for Agriculture and Rural Development. So as Dean Cox knows, this entity spun out of the Ag Econ Department about the time, the Ag Econ Department there at UK, when the Ag Development Funds, Master Settlement Agreement money came available. They saw the need to have technical assistance specifically on business planning. So this entity has grown to about 14 employees, being the premier entity providing technical assistance, specifically business plans. A lot of applications we receive, Representative Pratt, have undeveloped business plans. We can send them to K-Card, and within a reasonable time, 30 to 60 days, they can have a business plan, then come back and request funds, whether it's for the grant side or the loan side. So they're almost an extension of our office and a very valuable resources. We help farmers that are looking to establish a new enterprise on the farm or purchase a farm. Next, on to page 22. So this is Berea College Grow Appalachia. I mentioned them as one of the entities that provide technical assistance for small scale farms. This is more on the production side. So if you're looking to establish a operation growing maybe produce or small fruit, but you've never done it. Now, in contrast, Representative King, if you grew tobacco, you learned how to grow tobacco from your parents or your grandparents. If you're starting out and going to grow strawberries, where are you going to learn from? You're probably not going to be an intergenerational transfer of knowledge. So the Ag Development has funded these different organizations. I mentioned Grow Appalachia is one of those entities that goes out and works with farmers one-on-one and help them put a plan together. And one of the basic things is do a soil sample to determine what kind of fertility of your ground, and then determine what you're going to grow. And important, if you're growing something like tomatoes, you need to rotate it. You can't grow the same crop usually in the same place because of disease pressures. So they're providing that service to help this again, the limited resource small enterprise operations.
All right, page 23, Reed's Orchard, Bill, talking about the historical training and institutional knowledge coming down from tobacco and the technical training that did that. One of the other challenges with transitioning from tobacco to horticulture is you're dealing with something that can have a pretty long shelf life after you've got it cured and ready for market. As we move into, with our horticulture, we're dealing with a more perishable commodity. And Reed's Orchard had an application in for county funds only for 50% of a $21,000 project to purchase a compressor, evaporator, and a cooling system for an existing business that's going to add shelf life to their products, which they produce strawberry, peaches, apples, and cider.
Yeah, where are they located?
Davis County. Sorry.
About a half a mile.
There we go.
About a half mile where I live.
Okay. Well, I'm glad, Senator, you know that one. Bill's much better about remembering each one of y'all's counties to point out.
Well, we can maybe utilize him to do a site visit, you know.
I think we should when we're down there.
All right, we're moving on to page 24, Adair County Board of Education. So they were approved county money, $50,000 to build a new greenhouse there at the high school. And you can see that the different organizations, the entities are going to be providing matching dollars to build a $220,000 greenhouse there at the Adair County High School.
Well, Senator Boswell, now with your prompting, I will be able to get Chairman mentioned here in this next one, Christian County project there. So we've got on page 25, Logan Premium Meats and Processing, another one of our use of our consulting programs, and this is for was new owners of a long-time existing business that I know Chairman Dawson and I drive by quite a few times. His business is located just a short distance from this facility, but it's come under new ownership with some of our ag development funds have been part of this, and they've made a major expansion, increasing their harvest capacity along with their retail space, and looking at evolving into different markets. This one to be with the halal foundation to become a halal certified meat processor, and that halal is dietary law derived from Islamic teaching. So we get into this, and I speak about this a lot of times in talking to non-ag groups, and then back to our ag groups, talking about we need to be aware of customer preference, that there is definitely room at the table of agriculture for everything, whether it is specific conventional products, or we're talking about organic, or we're talking about food for religious purposing. Bill and I, when we were at Casey Jones last summer, we met the bourbon rabbi, that there is a kosher line of bourbon, and again, another example of consumer preference. And I think as this continues to become a market, that if consumers are preferring it, there's oftentimes a premium that can be provided that go with the cost of separating and producing this. So we sponsored through the grant $3,000 to go towards their halal certification. And that was the conclusion of the projects approved at the October board meeting.
Before we go into November's, we do have a question. Representative King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all again for a wonderful presentation. You know, I've been in on many food animal vet conversations and been a part of that for many years. But a new question popped into my mind today that I haven't asked before. You were talking about the student loan debt being about $250,000 at the end of their education. I'm just curious how, and you may not know, I may need to do other research. How does that compare if a person completes human doctor studies? Is that comparable or more or less? And you may not have the information on that.
I honestly don't, Representative King, on doing that. I would think it could easily be comparable, but I'm speaking more from my experience as being an old banker and what I would see coming in with some of the folks from the human medical.
Right. Well, that's totally out of your all's area of expertise, so I don't expect you to know that, but
Well,
I think it'll be
especially
interesting
with
to know.
the in-state, I think that's the fascinating part with doing that. And as I have a daughter and out-of-state, these tuition bills roll in just quicker than what I think they should. You see what the cost is, but to see that for our students in there, that number I quoted was for those getting the in-state
In-state.
tuition.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Members, I think
question.
I'll be looking into that, and I'll report back when I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative King. Senator Boswell.
Thank you, Chairman. I didn't want to interrupt the presentation, but on page 21 on the Kentucky Center for Agriculture, I think you mentioned that something about 14 new employees or something that maybe I misunderstood that to help people guide their way through this process. It was on page 21.
Their new employees may be some of the same experience I've had. It's backfilling existing positions. To my understanding, they did not grow from their 2-year.
Yeah, I think that's total employees is 14, but they've evolved basically, a couple employees when they started back almost 20 years ago. And then
My question was this,
Yeah.
is part of this funding for new employees, or you just happen to mention that? It's not.
No,
a new
that's what I was trying to say is year on year, we do 2-year approvals, and I believe they were at 14 total staff 2 years ago when we had their application, and then again. So the employees have been kind of like in my shop where we have new faces, but they're filling the same positions.
Thank you.
Well, one thing I would add, Senator Boswell, this amount is what $900,000 for 2-year funding is the same amount they had the last 2 years of funding. So that would indicate to me that that's not for new employees. They're finding other ways to finance new employees. There's USDA funds available. In fact, this amount will be about 45% of their budget, I believe. So they're able to match that with USDA funds that is provided to entities like this nationwide to provide technical assistance.
Thank you.
Senator Webb.
Okay, you know how my mind works. I'm going to get down there a little bit. USDA grants that couple and commingle with our funds, and I hope we do, but do we vet or have y'all ever found any problems with conflicting with our mission? And do we look for that? I mean, we've got a USDA secretary who used to be a USDA secretary when Meatless Monday came into play. He does a lot up there administratively by rulemaking and other things to minimize animal agriculture. And his wife is a Humane Society of the United States partner. And I just want to make sure that we are vetting, those projects that use these USDA to make sure that we're not restricted by any language or criteria that those USDA grants, I'm all for them, okay, as long as they don't stifle our mission in any way and take funds away from other areas where, more towards the original mission of the settlement. So if we're not doing that, I think we should be doing that, and I just don't want to see that happen. It's a concern of mine, and I've been doing this a while, and I practice law against the USDA, so I'm very aware of some of their shenanigans, and I think that we need to be mindful of that. And then secondly, I'm going to do my East Kentucky advocacy that I do all the time, and just say, I love our KFC board, but there's not one person on it East I-75. And we don't have a lot. We still have a challenge of getting applications for projects, but yet we were some of the most tobacco-dependent counties. So I'm just going to throw it out there that maybe when we look in the future, we used to have a presence there, and I just hope that we look at giving regional parity, geographical parity, and that's not your decision, I know, but I just feel for the record that I need to say that. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I guess a couple of comments I would make that we've reported to you in the last several years that the Ag Development Board has provided state funds to counties to get less than $30,000. That's several counties in the far Eastern Kentucky. And as we know, the farm operations in Eastern Kentucky are smaller scale, and most of those can be financed under the Farm Service Agency $600,000 loan limit. So I think that would be part of it. But the Kentucky Highlands Investment Corporation, I mentioned earlier, has the microloan program available. It's 1% interest, and they've done a great job of servicing that area. I think probably a good time in the new administration to talk to them about maybe expanding that program.
Well, that's why I mentioned it, and I'll have that conversation with Commissioner. And I love the people we have now and the job they do. It's not a complaint, it's just an observation, and I would feel remiss if I didn't represent the area that elected me, but thank you.
Thank you, Senator Webb, and I will share these comments with both the board and Commissioner-elect on doing that. Obviously, that is where the board appointments will come from, and with the USDA, that's a great observation. And the thing I look at is priorities change as administrations change, and that's where we can be prepared to what is in favor of the day can be able to utilize to leverage these dollars and bring them back to Kentucky. And from my perspective, the ones that we have been partners with would not fall into any of those conflicting issues with our animal welfare. All right. Anything else on October? And feel free, y'all can come back to October. We won't close the book on that if that's all right with Chairman. But we will move into our November, and we had fewer in November. The November approved loans, we had 10 loans. We had all three of our ag credits represented this month, and 3 different community banks. A total of $1.8 million was approved for ag finance dollars of total projects at 9.8 across the state. Had some grain, beef, equine, and poultry. And our press release there, then our 24 schedule again is in there, and Bill will take it with the program.
All right, on page 7 of the November report, you can see that there were applications in the 4 programs we've talked about earlier. So $1,517,459 in county money was approved. And then on page 8, we got requested program amendments. So I'll start with Hancock County. So this was a request to increase the producer limit from 2,500 to 3,000. They weren't asking for additional money. So the Conservation District had been approved for $160,008. The County Council can set the limit up to $5,000 per producer. Initially was approved at 2,500, made a request to increase that to 3,000. Our guidelines do not allow for that, so that request was denied. And then Nicholas County Conservation District requested an additional $38,469 to bring the total amount available under the CAPE program for Nicholas County producers at $299,254.
All right, page 12 is another one of our veterinary programs. This one again back in Todd County with Dr. Joe Tabor. This one is for upgrading mobile vet unit, the truck, and large animal handling facility. Been approved for $83,333 of state funds pending the match from the county funds, and those the county council has not met yet.
I think we need to go back to page 9.
Oh, shoot.
I think you skipped
Oh.
page 9.
Okay, okay.
Really?
I was ready for. Okay, that was another one. Another Thomas Veterinary Service. This was in Warren County for $99,000, $82,500 in state funds. Looking at multiple counties. This one is for updating the handling facilities and the service vehicle for that program.
And go back to page 9. We got
That was 10.
Okay, that's 10. All right.
All right. So we talked about great order. All right. So page 9 is for Langley Farms. Okay, and this one is in Hardin County. Senator Deneen on this one for total project $190,000. Drew Langley, farmer there, is requesting $155,000 in state funds, looking at matching funds for the state dollars and multiple county funds to build a 150,000 bushel grain bin. This is for the merchandising of corn to our distillery industry. Drew has contracts there and will be buying from multiple producers to feed into these distillers who like just-in-time inventory, so they're willing to pay premiums for these producers to hold the grain. This one was structured uniquely in trying to incentivize buying from many different producers as possible, so this will be given as a the state funds will be given as a forgivable loan based on a metric of bringing in a certain amount of bushels from a certain amount of producers each year. And the balance of this will be a participation loan. Covered Thomas loans on page 10. That was one of our 9 veterinary loan programs. So you can go to
Okay.
11.
Now we're on page 11. This is the Wilderness Trail Area Beef Marketing Alliance in Laurel County. Was approved for $344,653. So this project was initially funded back in 2002, where it would have a central cattle handling facility where producers could come together and commingle loads of cattle and load them up on a tractor trailer, and it was close to a good road access to this facility. Then in 2017, they upgraded the facilities to put in the ability to have shows for youth livestock. And so now they've come back to make another expansion, including holding pens, loading areas, and storage for shared use equipment, and then, of course, adding some permanent bathrooms and hand washing facilities now that they've expanded back in 2017 to accommodate a livestock show. So they're making these and continuing to make these improvements. And again, this is county money matched by state up to $344,653, and you can see they're matching dollars. And this project is on the Laurel County Fiscal Court property, so that helps with the maintenance and the insurance based on their application.
And 12 is the one I talked about. I said Bill and I were going to try to be efficient, so I was just trying to make up some time in the air there, Chairman.
All right, and then on page 13, Lee County Conservation District had made a request to their county council to administer a CAPE program, and the county council denied the request or did not commit the money to the project. Consequently, the board denied the request. So I think there's been discussion at the county council level. As you know, that's 9 members each county council, 2 from appointed by FSA, 2 from Conservation District, 2 from Extension, and those 6 appoint 3 at large. So those 9 individuals said they're not ready to commit the county money to a CAPE program right now. They're looking at some other programs, I think specifically shared use equipment. So.
We do have a question, Representative King.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your indulgence. You know I'm a question asker. If we could go back to page 3, please, regarding the November loans. As you turn there, I notice we have projects in Graves County with grain and poultry, and I remember from our tornadoes 2 years ago, good grief, it's been 2 years, extensive grain producer and processor damage there. Are these to help our Mayfield friends get back up from that, or is it totally unrelated?
I would say they are all related in some capacity. The poultry, I'd have to go back and dig in. Was this one changing hands? A lot of ours are buying existing operations, so they're continuing a succession plan. But all the ones with grain would be the USDA Farm Service Agency launched a program, the Emergency Grain storage. I forget the acronym, but it was a $125,000 per FSA limit program that if you were in an area within a certain, I think, 60-mile radius of any of our grain elevators that were impacted during the storms, you would be eligible for this project. So there's been a lot that have utilized this to make major expansions. As Mayfield Grain left the market there, that has put the premium on farm storage. So we have seen a lot has been built, but you can look across our state and see many others that are utilizing this too, because we're fortunate to have so many different terminal markets that creates an incentive for on-farm storage. If these farmers can hold this for a longer, pick up the carry in the market, plus a premium for what this end user may pay to get it, whether it's and they're literally, we're blessed with quite a few. We had the distilleries we were talking about with the Langley project. We've got the Hopkinsville elevator with our ethanol, Commonwealth Agri-Energy ethanol there. We've got Seymour Milling. We've got Owensboro Grain. We have Continental over in Pulaski now that it's soybean oil processors. So you'll probably be seeing a few more of these as they're going to continue to work through the pipeline.
Well, very good. I was pleased to see those projects included here, and just wish our friends in the Mayfield area continued success. Thank you. It was good to see those projects included there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative King. Do we have any other questions from any of the committee members? Well, thank you for the presentation. And before we end, on behalf of myself and Senator Bledsoe, Brian, we want to thank you for your service there as the executive director of the Kentucky Office of Ag Policy. We have appreciated the hard work that you have done and what you have brought to the position. So we just wanted to say thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. It means a lot. I truly mean it when I say this is the favorite part of my job, is getting to come and show you all what the monies you all appropriate go out and do across the state. It's been a pleasure to serve the Quarles administration, and have enjoyed working with you all. And I'm very fortunate to be part of a great team, starting with Bill and 12 others back at Corporate Drive, or two behind us there. But it's great getting to just be part of that and work with our two boards.
I want you to know how appreciative we all are here. Bill, you do a fantastic job as well, and your staff is terrific. And I've appreciated what I have learned in my time of serving on this committee. But once again, want to say thank you for your service. To all of our committee members, this will be our last meeting until we come back to the for the interim after the 2024 session. Could be mid-April, May, excuse me. More than likely May, but I want to thank you all for being here. Want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and look forward to the fun we're going to have here in about another 3 weeks. With that being said, we are adjourned. Thank you.